I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order of the Prudential Committee on April 14th at 6:30 p.m. at 75 Maple Street, EJRP. And visitors and staff to be heard. Not seeing anybody here. We'll move on to board reorganization. And so the first thing I need to do is to turn the meeting over to
me,
Superintendent DeNova, who will ask for nominations for board chair.
So, at this time, I'm opening nominations to elect a board chair for the Prudential Committee. Do I hear a motion?
I will make a motion that nominate, what's his name? Michael Smith.
Is there a second? Second by Candace. Are you willing to take that position?
Yes. Is there anyone else that would like to nominate themselves?
I was going to say, is there any other nominations
there is.
before I close nominations? So we have a nomination, and we have a willingness to accept the nomination, and we are internally grateful for that and appreciative that you're willing to assume this responsibility. So I'll call the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously.
All right.
Congratulations.
Thanks. All right. Then the rest of the positions, do we actually elect them? The next two we elect,
Yes.
right? Okay. So the next position would be vice chair. And so I'm going to nominate, I'd like to nominate Jason as the vice chair
I'll
for
second
this
it.
next term.
Jason.
Second from Marla. Any other nominations? Hearing silence. All those in favor of Jason DeRosa serving as vice chair for the next term, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Okay. Then we have board clerk.
I will nominate Candace Morgan as board clerk.
Okay, and I will second that. Any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor of Candace Morgan as clerk for this next term, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Okay.
Now you can appoint the 3 SU positions. You don't need to elect them.
Right, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I knew that. I thought these first three had to be, go through the motion process. All right, so for the SU board, I know Marla has previously expressed interest in remaining on the SU board.
Yeah.
And I'll have myself continue. And then it's the third one. And I think Jason has no problem with that.
Did you
unless
want
he
to
would
do
like
it?
to do it?
Do you want to do it? Be on the,
I would do it, but I mean, if Jason had expressed interest or something, then that would be fine too. So, I don't know. I'm happy either way.
Yeah, it's I don't know exactly how intense it's going to be this next year. Probably no more than 4 meetings, because there's no budget.
Right.
There's not even a superintendent evaluation.
That's right.
It's, in all honesty, it's going to be.
Oh, sure, sorry.
probably at the
Financial.
same time as our monthly meetings.
is.
Carousel.
Yeah.
So it's going to precede the carousel meetings, and it's primarily keeping track of your financials, your quarterly financials, and the work around dissolving.
Right. And I know Jason I don't remember him expressing one way or the other.
Okay, I'm happy to do it
So-
then.
All right.
And he's going to have the rec study committee, and that's going to be
That's
quite
true.
a bit
That's
for now.
Yeah,
So
no, I'd be happy to do it.
okay.
Great.
So then we'll go ahead and, with Candace, myself, and Marla
Okay.
on the SU.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, and is that it? Well, okay, so then the other piece is all the committees. I don't know. I really don't know how much work is going to occur on any of the committees at this point. Policy is, seems that's kind of dead in terms of really going through current policies. It's going to be just if there's any legislative action to take, I think.
Or shifts or direction of working with the new board with policy. But I think you should have still one person at least.
Okay.
And Candace has served on that.
Yeah, I'd be happy to continue
Okay.
on there.
All right, so policy.
And you know what was missing from that is the EJRP study committee. So that's Jason and
And me,
you.
yeah.
That's important to know.
And Jason will still be the Recs and Parks rep from the board.
Yeah, I think it'd be best to keep that.
Boy, we don't even need negotiations. We
No.
don't need,
I mean, I don't even know how much you'll need for communications. You know, I don't really, I mean, you can appoint somebody if someone's interested in the work, but I'm not sure how active that committee will be.
Yeah, let's, I'm just gonna hold off on that
Hold on it,
until,
yeah.
if it's needed. I'm sure I won't have a problem with somebody stepping up or, you know, I'll take it on if it's
Okay.
any kind of an issue, so, no problem there. Um,
You can do the rest in one motion, just read it and,
yeah, that's in here, right?
yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Appoint legal counsel.
I'm getting there.
I can read off the motion if you want me to. It's just all this.
Go ahead.
The only thing we aren't going to be able to do is affirm annual meeting minutes. We do have to make a change, I noticed on here already.
Oh, okay.
So, what it is they've got us in the cafeteria. We were in the auditorium.
Oh, okay.
So,
Oh, yeah.
okay, I will move that we appoint the firm of Wells and Leopold to represent the district, appoint the town of Essex as the collector of taxes, set the monthly meetings as noted in the board calendar attached to the minutes, authorize superintendent to accept, administer external grants and funds, grant authority to pay the bills, authorize the clerk or chair to sign warrants on behalf of the board, and the newspaper of record will be the Burlington Free Press, and accept the members' acceptance of the VSBA Code of Conduct. Do you want affirm annual meeting minutes as amended
Yes.
from location cafeteria to auditorium?
I think that is great. Okay, I'll go ahead and second the motion. Anything else anybody needs to discuss on those items? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion of, as moved by Marla just now, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Okay. Sorry, just taking notes here real quick. All other business. Okay. That's it for all of our reorg stuff, correct?
Right.
I'm not forgetting anything?
No.
All right. Great. The annual meeting and vote. Pretty darn low turnout.
Yeah.
Percentages seemed about the same. I mean, 2-1 in favor as far, or, versus against. But it was a pretty large turnout. And I was thinking about that. And you think about all the things that, folks have voted for in the past couple of months. You had the primaries, you had town meeting day, you had village meeting. Right, that's what I mean. You had the town meeting, the village meeting, and then, this vote. That's quite a few times that people have come out to go to the polls. So
We have the unified union vote.
oh yeah, and then you had that, not that
And
long.
you had the annual meeting of the Unified Union in January. that
Oh, right.
People came out to.
Yeah.
So,
There's going to be another one May 4th where we're going to need bodies attending.
So we've had a lot of, this has been an interesting consequence of, I think, of having so many votes, so many things that the public has been expected to come out for, and that's definitely something to. There is something to think about in terms of as we, are looking for ways of joining forces, with the town and other things to reduce the number of times that people need to come out. I mean, it's
Oh, absolutely.
so that's all I have to say on that.
Well, the other thing is the board will need to make an appointment because there wasn't a write-in candidate that had enough votes. Have you been able to be in contact with Tim?
I've reached out to Tim, but I haven't gotten anything back. So I don't know if it, I do know he's been really busy, back and forth. That's really his focus right now. I don't know what the consequence of trying to go with 4. I know Candace and Marla are up next year. Their positions are up. Of course, it would be easy just if you guys stayed, that one last time for that. But I don't want to say that that's what you're going to do, a year in advance.
Well, we'd only be in it for the audits. The only thing left to do next year is to close out the audits.
Right. The biggest thing
So-
is to, having to fill out the petition and get the 30 signatures so your name can appear on the ballot,
Yeah.
which unfortunately sometimes is a lot more work than you think it's going to be. But I mean, I'd like to have a fifth body here because with the spring, coming into the summer, folks are going to have lots of different things to pull them away, and once we're down to 3 is the fewest we can have for a meeting. This is what we have for tonight. So it's nice to have that extra just in case.
What
Do you-
timeline would you want to look at?
Yeah, I was going to suggest that if you finalize with Tim and see if there's interest first, because the continuity and stability and understanding, it's hard to bring somebody brand new in for just that short duration, right?
Right.
So, but if he's not interested, I think we should send your annual letter, feels like it's annual lately, of anybody who is interested. I know you do also need to fill a position for an Essex Junction representative on the U46
Right.
board. Daniel Tift had 15 votes, but he needed 30.
Yep.
And he sent an email asking me to share with you that if you're interested, he would be more than happy to submit a letter of intent again. And I was going to respond by saying after that we were going to meet tonight, and if that's your direction, have it available by your next meeting in May so that you can make a meeting you can make a decision that quickly because they're going to be reorganizing. So having him in shortly after that would be helpful.
Right. I mean, I'll be honest, I would have no problem appointing him even tonight, simply because he was just on there.
Yeah.
And he was really the only individual that expressed any interest prior to the vote anyhow. But if it's better to make sure we follow some additional protocol or policy or just wait a little longer, I'm fine with that too.
When do we need another member on the Union School Board? When's their next meeting?
The 25th of April.
25th of April.
That's when they're going to reorg. That's why it would be really nice and clean
Yeah.
to be able to just keep the continuity.
Right.
You know he has an interest, because of the low voter turnout and the name recognition.
Right.
And people just don't sometimes think to write in somebody. It was announced at annual meeting, but again, there was a low turnout
Right.
then as well, so it was hard for him to generate the votes. But he certainly has been a contributing member to that board, and has the interest. So
I don't have a problem with appointing him. I'm just wondering how we can do it with the agenda as we've set it up now. Would it be,
you could amend your consent agenda and add that piece to your consent agenda.
Yeah, it is actually noted in our board business here. If no write-in candidate received the necessary votes, the board will need to make an appointment.
okay. So, and it has to be a vote. I don't know how Candace feels. I'm okay with appointing Daniel Tift. He's there, he obviously wants to stay there.
Right.
And with us becoming a unified union school district, it doesn't make sense having to bring on somebody new and train them for the few months they're going to be there. I know Jason, I think he sent an email. He preferred, I think, an open process where people can apply, but I think speed-wise, in this case, I don't think it's
Right.
necessary.
And I'll be honest, we did actually have that. I mean, that was what the election was.
Yeah.
That was the open
Yeah,
process
that's
for people
absolutely
to have
That's right.
submitted their
That's
names.
true.
And,
That's
Yeah.
very true, Michael.
we
Yep.
didn't have anybody step in, so.
Yep.
It's true.
I think it's okay to amend it to appoint Daniel, but I don't know if you want to wait to appoint
Oh, yeah, I
someone
wanna wait
else
on our
until
board,
we know if
'cause we-
Tim
Yeah.
has the
Yeah.
interest.
No, that one
'cause
makes sense to
that
wait.
one makes
Yeah.
sense to wait.
Yep. So I'm going to go ahead and, so should we wait till, okay, would your recommendation be to wait till the consent agenda? Or
It
to
doesn't
do it right
have,
now?
you can amend your agenda to take action.
I
on-
think because it is an action item, I'd rather it was added under consent agenda
Okay.
myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm
Just-
going to go ahead and do that now and amend the agenda to add appointment of a member to the U46 board,
Appointment of an EJ resident.
EJ resident to the U46 board. Thank you. Sorry, we're all taking this note. I just want to have it written down.
Yeah. Well, it was hard because the vote happened on Tuesday.
Yeah.
and To, prepare an agenda to have that included, we didn't know how it
Right.
was.
Like I said, it is written in the
Yeah.
in the notes there. It just doesn't. Okay. And so I'll continue to reach out to Tim, but let's assume that doesn't yield an individual, that he doesn't want to do it. The next step is really going to be just reaching out to
Community again.
the folks that we know who, it would be easiest to start with folks who have served before.
I think so, but
you
we
know,
can.
but anybody can.
Yeah.
you
I
know.
think that's something we can
Encourage.
work on before the May 9th meeting.
Right.
I would assume, I have no problem saying as chair. What I would do is if Tim doesn't want to serve on it, then as chair, it's up to you if you want to put the ad out. I have no problem
Okay.
with you putting an
Yeah.
ad out or finding someone that you want to appoint, or we can call you with our recommendations.
Perfect.
And Jason can too, when he gets back.
And I think you've been really successful in the past of reaching out to former board members. I think when board members reach out to former board members, it's complimentary and encouraging, and oftentimes Marla's really good at twisting arms. And
Well,
I mean, I'm no good at making people feel guilty.
and it-
I did receive a letter of interest as well. Someone sent out.
oh, you
Oh,
did?
good.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good.
And that's for this board? Okay.
Cool.
Oh, great.
And you have to give
That's
names,
right.
but is this somebody who has served before? Okay.
Well, great. So we'll put that on a future agenda for your
Perfect.
May meeting. How's that
Okay,
sound?
that's, yeah.
Sounds like a plan.
All right.
And if you end up having to have an appointment on May 9th, I'm assuming you'd have candidates there for us to meet with.
So what we could do, Michael, as soon as you know about Tim's status or interest, let Ben know, and or you, either one of you, I think you have rights to post on Front Porch
Oh, yeah, yeah, I
Forums.
can do that, yeah.
I think that's
Oh, yeah.
a really good way to generate
No.
interest.
Yeah, it'll at least, it'll get to a fairly large population to
And
see
then
it. We'll
just-
get everybody.
Yeah, we
I
had like
know
a
that.
handful last year, right?
Yes, we
Or
did.
so? 4 or 5?
For the U46, we had a couple.
Oh, that's right.
It was for the Unified Union.
Well, yeah, for the Unified Union, but I
Yeah.
thought for the U46, I thought, was Daniel the only one?
He was the only one.
Okay,
Oh,
okay,
yeah, okay.
okay.
So the meeting will be May 9th, so you can just use that as sort of the time the board plans
Okay.
on making the
Okay.
decision and advertise.
Perfect. Okay, so Teacher Appreciation Week is May 2nd through the 6th. In the past, we've, purchased fruit baskets for for our 4 schools. Do we want to include? Do we usually include EJRP in any of these things?
You have some
Teacher
teachers.
appreciation.
Well, we have the folks at
Preschool.
at Park Street as well.
In the
So
past, for the holiday one, they did all the schools, DJRP at the central office. I think, I went back last year, I think teacher appreciation, just no central office, 4 schools, DJRP.
okay,
I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
yeah, I'd like to continue doing that then if that's everybody that
Yeah.
Sounds good.
other than those central
What
office
kind
folks.
of
they don't need
baskets
those
are we
kind of
doing?
perks,
Just some food,
Work.
fruits.
Yeah.
Fruits and goodies, is that what you usually get then?
Yeah, we got them from Maplehurst in the past, and they do a nice mix of snacks, fruit, different things. And the teachers always very much appreciate that. And Judy and I bring them over and hand them off. It's like, everyone gets so excited.
The favorites.
Yes,
Like,
it is
some
really
cheese and
appreciated.
some bananas, oranges, and
It is fun, and a card.
Yeah.
So if you want to authorize us to get the baskets on your behalf and deliver them, and just send over a card that can accompany it.
That would be great.
Perfect.
And we can strive to have them delivered, is May 2nd a Monday, I assume?
Yes.
On that Monday, so that they can munch all week on them?
Yep.
Or Tuesday?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, if we can get things there the first of that Monday of that week, that'd
I
be
think
great.
you've authorized in the past $250?
Total or for each?
I think in the past it ended up being around 500 total.
500.
I think that was the number total.
I think there's quite a few staff, so I hate to put a number on it, and then you
Okay.
can't get enough for all the staff, let's say at ADL. There's quite a few.
Right, we do different size baskets, like ADL gets the biggest.
Right, just because
We
there's
have a
more.
good system, EJRP gets the smallest. It's just, it's not
Okay.
people. There is a system we do every year.
I've never seen you guys go overboard, so I have no problem leaving
Right,
it
yeah,
to
I
Judy's
don't either.
discretion
I mean,
and
I-
Ben's.
Okay,
Not carte blanche, but
yeah, well, not to exceed,
it's pretty reasonable, so
okay.
I'm very confident.
And seeing as only one board member probably went to nationals, we probably have money in our board
That's right.
account.
That's right.
Your board,
You guys are very generous board.
I was gonna say you are the most generous. You're always very thoughtful for holidays and teacher appreciation and very thoughtful board with cards and,
Well, you know why? Is because all their employers are us. Even though the superintendent's in charge of hiring
Right.
and reviewing it, we're the employers, the district, and on behalf of them, I would like to know that somebody counted on me if there was an
right.
appreciation day at
Mhm.
work for something.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I think it's the right thing to do. I think they work incredibly hard also. I think they work harder than a regular public that doesn't have children in the school
Mhm.
realize. So,
Yep.
And it was nice at annual meeting, I had a community member come up and talk about the experience her grandson is having with one of our teachers and how much he just loves this teacher and all the things she said and did to encourage him, and it was just really touching. And the fact that she came up to me to take the time to talk about
Yeah.
such an outstanding teacher, and there's many of them, but oftentimes people just don't take the time to comment on that. You should know it was really nice to see that happen at your annual meeting this year.
Great. Okay, so I think we're all set with that.
Okay.
Yep.
Just an update on the Essex Westford Unified School District.
well, that is interesting. We have met probably 3 times now. I think our 4th meeting will be April 26th.
Okay.
And we'll be meeting, I believe it's at Founders.
So they've changed that as of today.
They did.
They did. All the meetings, Mark Andrews, Superintendent Andrews asked if all our meetings could move to the high school, just because the setup is spacious enough, the technology, and for consistency, all the meetings between now and the end of the year are going to be there.
So we will be meeting on April 26th at 6:30 at the Essex High School Library. And the great thing that we've done so far, it appears like we're moving slowly, but we actually have come a long ways. Liz Subin and Keeley from our district. Liz Subin is on the school board, the Union 46 board. They are communications committee, or council, I believe they're being called. Kim Gleason from the town, Brendan from the town, and Andre from Westford. They're on the negotiating council. And Martha appointed Wes, Diane Clemens, and Al Bombardier to the policy. And she appointed me to the superintendent search committee with her. So that's come a long ways just to be able to decide that.
Right.
And Martha's doing a great job, I think, organizing it and doing what we need to do to be up and running. And she seems to think way in advance of things that we need. So we've signed things like it's a mutual understanding agreement with all the boards. of all the districts and the superintendents. I believe those are on target. We've done our part at the unified board. We also have a project manager that's been hired, Dan French. So we've come a long ways.
Okay.
We have email accounts
Oh, yes.
and a blog,
Oh.
an active blog.
So we have one place we can go to now. So that, I forgot all about all that hard work that technology of both districts did. And we've got May 4th, we have our annual meeting. Even though we aren't presenting a budget legally, we had to hold an annual meeting, so that's May 4th. I believe that's going to start at 6:30, I suspect, at the high school. So,
With one of the things I brought up with the with our low turnout for our budget vote, have you guys is one of the things that is up for discussion in any way is how to coordinate annual meeting with town and village annual
on the
meetings in any
warning
way?
for May 4th, one of the articles is our annual planning meeting next year will be the same time as the Union 46 board and the PC board.
Okay.
So there'll be a common
ET
day.
board.
Huh?
And the ET board.
And the Essex Town Board. So
Okay.
that's all going to be organized so that we can all
So
hold
then
a
is the plan
meeting
will all be in the same place?
at
as
the
well?
same place. I'm
Okay.
not sure how the timing will be arranged, but we'd be all at the same place. Next year, the new Unified Union School District will be presenting the budget.
Right.
The other school districts will be winding down and I think sharing what they've finished their year as.
Right.
So,
Okay.
anything else? I can't
It's a
remember.
start.
A lot.
All right. Wonderful. Okay, so the Recreation Governance Study Committee, we held our first meeting a couple weeks ago. Jason assisted in nominating me as chair for the committee. Just want that noted on the record. And then Raj Kwala is the secretary of that. I think that's all we really set up for that committee. Our next big meeting is the 25th of April at EJRP, and the focus will be to have the various scenarios presented / laid out for us to really begin the discussion on, what do we want to do, how to, what's going to eventually be our recommendation. And so that should be a really good meeting in terms of what kind of discussions come out of it. I know in my mind, one of the things I want to make sure that we don't lose focus on is the end result of this is still to have some type of governance in place for EJRP. So there are plenty of the various scenarios, have extra things in it, but they all in the end, like I said, the end result needs to be EJRP as a governance model.
Yes.
Yeah.
By the end of it. I don't know, the only thing we haven't talked about yet, and maybe you know this, Judy, is so the recommendation will be arrived at. Then who approves that recommendation? Is it okay, let's just suppose, one scenario would be that it just remains in the village. Would it then be the trustees that approve that, or the voters of Essex Junction that approve that? Or
So it
So that's the
depends
thing
on
I'm
what
not
the
sure.
recommendation's going to be, but the PC board by charter is you have the responsibilities. But I would think you'd have to approve it in collaboration. So if the suggestion is that it be governed with the village trustees, that there'd be an agreement where you'd draft something up, and then that would be approved.
Okay.
As far as that shift. If it's with the Unified Union Board, then that would have to be a legal document that you would take action on as far as what that shift looks like.
Okay.
If it doesn't, and it has to change to something
Right.
or someone. If it's a park district, I think that's another
Right, that's another option.
model or
Whether
option.
it's just by themselves or with the town.
Right, and I think that Pat Scheidel will probably be the person that will be will
Okay.
help structuring what that would look like as well. So that committee will make a recommendation, and then I think you'll involve whomever the
Okay.
stakeholder is that you're going to share it with or
Yeah,
give it
I wasn't
to.
sure, where it go. Does it go to, a small body, entity like trustees, select board, PC, unified union, or does it go to the general electorate?
Well, when you
the
come up
town
with
village.
what your process is
Right.
going to be, when you make a decision as a committee,
Mm-hmm.
then whoever it's going to affect, it will go to that board for votes. Like, you've got
Right.
like 4 or 5 scenarios. So, and then some of those scenarios will require voting by the general
Oh, they would?
public.
Okay.
Right.
Your park district has to go out to vote. I can't picture if Town of Essex and EJRP merge. I don't think you're going to have to, but you'll find that out as you just
Okay.
study it, because they're already merging other community and departments
Services,
between the
yeah.
town, and they haven't gone out to get votes from the community on that. They have just, the trustees and the select board have been working on it.
Okay.
So I think the PC will only be involved because of the contract we have
Yeah.
with the trustees.
Trustees.
Right.
The
Okay.
important thing there, and I'm hoping that you include it in your agendas, will be like at the end of your meetings to talk about something important that Marla just said, is who's it going to impact and how is it going to impact. And so making sure the community, just like with the RED study, had a way of getting those
Yeah.
constant updates so that when you reach that final decision, you've done it with within community and with community stakeholders, and then it doesn't become a difficult thing to negotiate because people were made aware of the whys and the smaller decisions that you make throughout. So that would be my only suggestion going forward.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a very
Thank you.
good suggestion, because then there's no surprises if people have a website, or I'm sure the village and town will have something up, or Pat Scheidel.
I know we've been putting up things already.
Yeah, there's the blog or whatever, or
Yeah.
on the Essex Junction Recreation and Parks site. There's a little
Yeah.
thing about it.
And Ally's also been putting things up as well in the town, so.
Now, the other thing is Brad Luck sent me an email, and when you're doing your discussions next week, or the week after,
Yeah, 25th.
I guess they're looking for a perspective from individuals in the community, and I've been invited.
Oh, okay.
And because you and Jason are going to be there, and then if I'm invited to share a perspective, I'm not sure if we have to warn it as a separate meeting of the Prudential Committee.
I thought about that when I heard you were being invited, and you're not doing official PC board work, so I would say
Right.
no. I think that.
And my perspective, when I will say it, is always as an individual. It won't be a perspective of the PC
Right.
board, won't be a perspective of the Unified Union School Board. I'm pretty opinionated, so I kind of have my own individual
It'd be nice to have the
perspective.
freedom to give your
Right.
individual
Yeah.
perspective, actually.
Okay. Thank you for doing that. So this past weekend, the National School Board Convention was held down in Boston, and I attended Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. It was a really good convention. I sat in a lot of several different sessions. It seemed to be pretty well attended. I mean, there was two general sessions that I attended. The first was the speaker was Dan Rather, and he had there was a full house in there. There was a choir, a jazz choir from. I wish I could remember where they were from now. It's also drawn a blank on it, but they were fantastic high school kids. And then Sunday, Robin Roberts of Good Morning America, she spoke, and both individuals, their focus was really about how they were each a product of the public school system, and they had Robin talked a lot about her family influences for staying in school and remaining in the public school system, and her successes, and Dan, he also talked about the importance of the public education system. As far as a couple of the different sessions that I attended, one was on, I believe it was North Kansas City, Missouri. They were looking at a way of extending the school year, so going to school an additional 31 days, and they're currently in a pilot program. Now any place outside of Vermont has large school districts, so they have options, and so they chose to take two of their highest free and reduced lunch schools that were somewhere in the neighborhood of about 70%. And then the way they funded this, so they said, okay, these two schools are going to be going for an additional 31 days during the summer. And so basically what would work this way is that you'd finish third grade, have a week or two off, and then you would start fourth grade. And so you would start ahead of time. They gave folks in the schools the option to opt out. They didn't allow anybody to opt in, but they let the people that were attending those schools, the families could opt out if they wanted to. And they had about I think it was somewhere around 95% stayed in. And by December, they had several of those that opted out wanting to get back in. I don't remember what their decision on that was. And they also gave staff the option to opt out as well. And they had their percentage on that one, I don't remember but it was quite high as far as the folks that wanted to do it. But the interesting thing was how they paid for it. Was they used part of it had to do with how Missouri funds summer school, but they used summer school money because it's a number of hours, I think, and so they were able to pay for it using summer school funds. This was the first year of it, so they don't have
The data yet.
the real data on it.
Yeah.
But it was they were very excited about it, and it's so rather than you don't really go further, in fourth grade, but you go deeper
Yeah.
in what you focus on.
So they found a
And,
way to extend the school year
Right.
using a different revenue.
Yeah, and
That's
they,
cool.
they decided, they focused on the free and reduced lunch population because, the way they phrased it was these are the families and kids that often don't have summer camps
Access.
to go to.
Yeah.
And so
Close the gap by giving them opportunity.
so
Great.
they're looking, they're obviously really hoping this goes well, and so it'll be an interesting thing to see what the follow up on that is.
So they didn't have a Save Our Summers crew come out? And
It sounded like they did speak with the community, and they were, like I said, for the most part they were very positive about trying something.
That's great.
Another session I went to, they were running into say a population problem. I guess they had more kids and they didn't have space, and so what they chose to do, and it's not in place yet. It hasn't been completely built, but they took input from staff and community to build a kindergarten. Very different from, your square building, kind of a situation. And so it essentially is basically going to look like two arcs that join together with a lot of interconnectivity between the rooms. They're taking about 600 kids
Wow.
for this kindergarten. Okay, so we're talking not a place in Vermont, but it was fascinating to hear how they got to this point of how the rooms were going to be designed by working with the builder, the architects, and then working with the staff to talk about the design of this building. And a fascinating thing was to have a couple of folks in the audience who had, I'm not going to say they'd done similar, but they had been part of making recommendations and discussions on a building, only to find when they got there, their recommendations were ignored. So when they moved in, so that discussion was also had, and they talked about how they're avoiding that by having the staff coming in as they're building this building, and to see where things are going to go and all that. Just
Really
so it's very-
innovative.
yeah.
Yeah.
So again, another way of looking at the education model, and I just thought that was kind of fascinating because, as we unify, and down the road as we're looking at different ways of educating and our students, our children, and are there different ways of organizing, the buildings and the community around ways of doing that education. So that just really fascinated me. There were also lots of vendors that were basically they devote a whole large, very large convention room to all the different vendors that wanted to present things. And one of the ones that I picked up one of their flyers. I ran out too fast tonight to grab it, but it was very focused on pedestrian safety type of things. And so I was very interested in their handheld stop signs, just like we have now, except they're LED ones. And so when you raise the sign up, it lights up.
Yeah.
When you hold
Yeah.
it down, it's got
Yeah.
a ball switch or whatever, so it turns it off and,
Yeah.
and whatnot. And so it would be something that we've looked at different ways of making our crosswalk safer, and this was one thing I saw that
That's cool.
could help us along that way. So
So you brought a flyer?
yeah, I've got the
That'd be
material
great. Yeah.
for that,
Drop
and
it off.
I did actually start looking at the possibility of any safety grants that may be out there. I didn't have a whole lot of luck the first time through, but I know there are ones out there, and so finding ways of helping pay for these items. But yeah, and it's definitely going to the national convention. I find it reinvigorates me a bit, just to hear the successes and even the difficulties different boards have,
Sure.
and just to see how they've overcome them, to see that as we have our difficulties, that there are ways of working through those. So I'm really glad I went, and I encourage any of you guys to go, should you be on future boards. I know Marla's done it a few times. And-
In the
and-
past, I have, and I feel bad I haven't kept up
Mhm.
the last few years, so it seems like the timing isn't always
Right.
right. So hopefully one of these times, because with doing the Unified Union School District, I know one of the things that we had talked about as a Red Study Group was different ways to use the buildings, or was there a different way to educate and looking at the future potential? So any of that literature and stuff that you have would be
Yeah, I've got the-
great to pass
right.
on to Martha.
And there was one other one that I went to that comes to mind now. It was Kentucky is currently working with, I think, federal grants. The Kentucky School Board Association. They're developing a standards-based board self-evaluation
Oh.
system, and so they're piloting it right now, and they hope to have some results that they can build on and then make available within the next couple of years to all the other school board associations. So,
Great.
yeah, I thought that one I really thought would be something that's really good. They also have this whole program geared around developing folks for the next level. So, your teachers who want to be administrators and your support staff who want to move up to other positions. They've really got a really nice
Succession plan in
yes,
place.
yeah, well, and a training program
Yeah,
for
mentoring.
bringing folks along. So
Mm-hmm.
that was also really good.
Nice.
But yeah, like I said, it makes a difference going to these going to the conventions, whether it's just the local ones or the national.
Well, thank you for taking your personal time to do that and bringing back resources and experiences from it.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so we're up to decision time, the consent agenda.
Yes.
Do we have warrants? Did we have warrants? No, okay. So we can cross that off.
Okay,
Cross
so
warrants off.
there are no warrants to approve. And
You want me to make a motion with all the
sure.
items in it? I move that we approve the consent agenda consisting of approving meeting minutes of March 14th, 2016. Approve the recommendation for the professional appointment of Jennifer Luck as a Spanish teacher at ADL, and Sasha O'Connor as a learning specialist, special educator at Fleming, and Brian Feld as a science teacher at ADL. Also approve the letter of resignation by Lauren Culkins, I believe, nurse at ADL. And approve the appointment of Daniel Tift to the Union 46 Board.
Excellent.
I'll second.
And seconded by Candace. And any other discussion that we need to have on that? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of the motion consent agenda, say aye. Aye. Motion passes 3-0. All right, future agenda items. So hopefully by, if all goes well, by the 9th of May, we'll have somebody to appoint to the PC board. That's the big one. Again, we'll give a report out of where the rec governance study committee is at,
Yep.
how things are going for that. The unified district update will be another item that will, both those things I think we'll keep going until they don't exist anymore, which would just be the.
Or until you don't exist
Yeah,
anymore.
we're not here.
Do we have any info by that point? Are we meeting as a carousel board on May 9th? Will there
No.
be any info regarding the new CFO?
CFO
That's going to
process.
be in, at the CCSU meeting in May 23rd. Thank you, Ben. May 23rd.
Okay. We also need to discuss year-end activities at that meeting. Hopefully we'll know what the various schools have planned, what dates they have planned their items. And
Yeah,
I know
let's make sure that we ask, that Ben will send out a note asking principals in their May report to identify some of those dates
Yeah.
that you might want to come as board members and recognize retirees.
Right, now we
or-
don't, we had, obviously Lori, we did
You already did,
recognize
yeah.
her at
Yeah.
ADL.
Mhm.
Is there any other
Yeah.
retirements? I don't remember any others. I know, we've got, resignation, but I don't remember any other retirements.
I have to look back, there might have been one or two in November, because there was something in November if you gave out.
Mhm.
the
Right,
dates.
right.
I have to look
But
back.
even then, I don't know why. I'm drawing a blank.
So
Yeah.
maybe
Nothing's jumping out at me.
I don't really remember any.
I don't remember anybody this year.
Not for PC, but I'm sure
Yeah.
we'll look through and see.
Okay. Because then if that's the case, then we'll also, need to talk about making arrangements for, gifts and whatnot. for
Golden
that.
apples.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Great.
Let's see,
So as far as community
communication.
communication, it's going to be the opening
Yeah.
for your
Okay,
board,
so
open
If Tim
board
doesn't-
seat.
Yeah.
announce,
An invite, letter of intent,
Mm-hmm.
and then your May 9th board meeting, so you can decide how many you'll want to interview.
right.
Right.
Well, if
If Tim
If
is.
it comes to, if it
yeah,
comes
if
to
it
that,
comes
then
to
I
that.
do hope we have more than zero.
Mhm. Well, you already have one,
Oh, that's right, we do have one.
Right.
so winner, winner.
Um,
We'll definitely need to do the warrants at that one, because it'll be backlogged
Right.
for a few months.
Right.
That wasn't too long ago,
Yeah, we just,
Yeah.
I can't remember if I signed a bunch of that. No, I signed a bunch at the
On March.
SU meeting, I think.
Oh,
I think you got to sign them all last time for
Yes, I
the
did.
PC.
I did.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Motion
can't think of anything else. I don't want to
adjourn.
sit here thinking for the rest of the night. So I'm going to adjourn
Sounds good.
at 7:30.
Beautiful.
Thank y'all.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Martha.
RETN.